Welcome back to the Hybrid Athlete Dad podcast. Now, most people think grit is built by massive breakthroughs, but the truth is, it's the small daily wins that forge real mental toughness. Super excited to have you tuning into today's episode, which I'm going to be discussing building mental grit through small wins. Now, before I dive into today's episode, I like to go over anything personal life, fitness, nutrition, anything that I think that you may find interesting or relatable. Because if I'm encountering something or I've had a breakthrough, I want to share it with you, or maybe you're going through something similar that I had gone through, and we can walk through it together. With that said, diving right into today's episode, legs did not feel great last week. Prior week ran 40 miles. Last week back to 30, typically running 30. Just had the bug to just go out and do 40, see if I could do it. Did it, no problem. Legs did not feel great last week. Running, it wasn't enjoyable to run. It was like every run was a struggle. The calves just felt very sore. The quads were sore. Just groin area was like inner thighs. That was just very sore. I don't know why. It just wasn't a fun time to run, but I ended up taking the weekend off after doing my 30 miles, which was good. Helped me feel refreshed and went out there today. It was like, hopefully the legs feel good. Because it's weird, because sometimes I find when I'm running, I'll have instances where my legs feel great. I'll have instances where my legs don't feel great. And you never know what it's going to be during the day. I wish I could pinpoint it. But today went out and was just, okay, like, let me see how it feels on this run because I don't want to push it too hard, but at the same point, I'm getting a little irritated after last week of just I was running consistently like 8:30-minute miles, and I was very fast during my 40-mile week on some of my runs, and then last week I was like slogging like 8:45s, 8:50s. I'm like, that's just not where I want to be, and it was just disappointing to myself. So went out today, and I can actually pull up the splits on my phone that I ended up running today, which would be very helpful to share. And should have brought that up beforehand, but looking into it now. So first split was 840. So this is per mile, 840. So I was like, okay, like see how we're feeling. And then I went 811, 750, 738, 720. So 5 miles, average pace came out to 756 per mile. So very happy with that. That's the second time I have been able to get under 8 minutes a mile in a 5 mile run. And it felt great, especially the first mile going off at 840. Really had to push there the last mile and a half, 2 miles, but made sure I got it done. I remember looking at my watch and I was 32:20 in, and I realized if I went 740 the last mile, I would be able to hit under 40 minutes again. And I did it about a few weeks back. Now I've done it the second time. Legs honestly felt great. When I was done, the knees a little sore, legs a little sore, but I know I mentioned on last week's episode I've been changing up my workout at the gym a little bit. So glad to have gotten the 5 mile run in today and to break 40. This is to say that some weeks you're going to feel good, some weeks you're not going to feel good, and I don't know why, if it was maybe the 40 miles, if that had any impact on it, but I'm honestly not quite sure, other than the fact that my legs felt great today, and I was gonna take it easy, and then I was like, you know what, they feel great, let's just go for it, let's see what we can do. So that was today's run. We'll see how tomorrow goes, but really enjoyed today's run. Diving into today's episode, which is, again, building mental grit through small wins. What is mental grit? Like, what does that term mean to you? And I think there's so many different definitions that you could have. But for me, it's some sort of combination of perseverance, resilience, and mental toughness. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's putting in the work when you don't feel like it, and it's just making sure that you get the job done. Because last week it sucked running. I just didn't. It wasn't fun for me to run, to go out there and run. But I know I still wanted to get those 30 miles in. So for me, that was like mental grit, and it helps me in the long run when I'm I know I talked about it a little bit before, but when I'm doing these longer races, like a half marathon for me, and you get in, you're like 11 miles in, the legs are hurting. I know, like, last week was just sucked. It hurt, but I made sure I got through it. So then when I'm in an actual race, I can push through it because I know that I didn't give up. And this is why mental grit matters, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a parent, whether you're an entrepreneur, really anyone who's pursuing long term goals. You can think of it, if you're an athlete, it's pushing yourself to get better. If you're a parent, there's challenging situations all the time, whether with your son, with your daughter, even with your wife. Obviously, as entrepreneurs, there's always going to be ups and downs in the business. I wish my business would be a hockey stick all the time, but there's these ebbs and flows and these ups and there's downs to it. And then anyone pursuing long-term goal, whether that's marathon, Ironman, just running your first 5K, there's gonna be times where you feel like giving up, you feel like quitting, but it's where this mental grit that comes in that allows you to persevere. Now, people can have motivation, but for me, motivation, it's something that's short lived. It's something that comes in flash. Okay, I got the energy. I'm gonna go do this. Feels great, and I attack something head on. Grit is what's sustainable. Grit is gonna once allow me to push through that resistance. Where motivation is a nice shot in the arm to get going, but grit is what's going to allow me to be sustainable. I would say that it's definitely nice having massive breakthroughs, but at the end of the day, having these small incremental wins and just stacking these wins every single day can sometimes matter more than these massive breakthroughs. I don't want to these massive breakthroughs. Like, I don't want to the word I'm looking for, or what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't want to discourage you from them. Like, I want you to have these massive breakthroughs, but being very consistent and getting these small incremental wins. Like, a massive breakthrough for me was getting running 5 miles in under 40 minutes. I had come close. I had within seconds. That was a massive breakthrough for myself. You could think of Roger Bannister running under the 4 minute mile. Running three. I don't know the exact time. Let's just say he ran 3:59 or whatnot. And obviously, there's a story of how many people have run under the 4 minute mile from them. Like, that's a massive breakthrough. But a small win for me is decreasing my mileage time. Where when I first started running, I was running about 10.5 minute miles about a year and a half ago. Where now I'm running, if the legs are normal, unlike last week, typically right now I'm down about 8:30 minute per mile. So that's a small win. So it didn't just happen overnight. It was just these small incremental wins over time. And can we go into the gym and it could be squatting, say, 225 this week, 235 next week, 245 the following week. Same thing with bench press, 225, 235, 245, and just being consistent. Like, when I go in the gym, I either want to do more reps than I did the previous week or I want to do more weight. Sometimes I do hit a brick wall. And like today, frustrating, I do overhead tricep extensions where I have the cable rope and I bring it over my head. And last week I did 12 reps and 9 reps, and I just the right arm could do it. The left arm just wasn't feeling it today. But that doesn't mean that the next time I go in the gym that I'm not going to try for 13 or 14 reps. Just happened to be that sometimes I hit that wall today. Yeah, your fitness breakthroughs and your wins. Being a parent, small incremental win could be consistently being present for your son or daughter's bedtime routine. Like, when we're getting our daughter ready for bed. So right now we get her ready for bed about 7 o'clock at night. We give her a bath, then we go in her room and we read. In between all of it, we typically like to get her down about 8 p.m. So I have an hour. I want to be fully present with her. Even prior to that, where on a usual night I make dinner and my wife will do the dishes. That's just how it typically works. When I'm making dinner, my wife will take care of our daughter. When she's doing the dishes, I'll take care of our daughter. Typically go outside and, where it's still nice out this time of year, and just play with her. Where we have a nice swing set, we have a sandbox, we have different toys in the garage that we can play with. So just being present, not thinking about work or emails or what I have to be doing. It's just being fully present. You can even think when it comes to running a business, it's sending out say doing 20 or 30 sales calls a day or sending out cold emails and just being very proactive. And I think this all ties in together where, yes, this is a fitness podcast, but you can think of it, or a fitness parenting podcast, however you want to call it. You can think of that, and when it comes to fitness, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to running your own business, like when I'm running my business, like I don't want to wait around. I got to eat what I kill. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it. Like I have to hunt to get new clients. I can't just wait for clients to come to me. I have to be proactively going out there. And that's where I get these small incremental wins where eventually I might land a big fish client. Now, when it comes to these small wins, it's just reinforcing positive habits. I don't know if it was a study, if it was a book, but I recall somewhere that it takes about 21 days to form a habit. So if you start stacking these small wins every single day, eventually they're going to become a habit, and you start to have more good habits than bad habits, the more you're going to see your life improve. Now, I want to talk about a little bit about how the different ways that you can build grit through some of these small wins. So it could be micro goals, which is focusing on what you can control daily. For me, like as an example, I'm in the gym and I want to go use a machine, or I want to use dumbbells. Like I went in the back room today and every single seat is taken up. I want to go do the pec deck machine. Someone's on it. So then I have to make variations to my workout, but I can only control what I can control. I can't control that everyone's in the back or someone's taking up the pec deck machine. I can focus on what I can do and what my response is going to be to it. I really enjoy tracking progress, which is every day I journal, every week I check in a spreadsheet on my goals, and I can just see my wins accumulate, whether it's a health goal, whether it's a fitness goal. Maybe the goal is to bench 225. Maybe the goal is to go on a walk, say 5 to 6 times a week, in addition to running my miles, and just tracking that progress, whatever the goals may be that you set for yourself. I want you to celebrate the small stuff and not just to recognize the effort that you're putting in and not just results. Because I know I was talking a little bit ago, and I was saying how when I was at the gym and I was using the cable rope machine, I just couldn't do as much weight as I had done the week prior, but I'm putting in the effort and I'm recognizing the effort. Like I'm doing my absolute best. Like my arms, like they can't move. So if I was predicating, I was like, oh, like this sucks. I got 9 reps instead of 12 reps last week. I'm like, okay, like I had to push hard to get these 9 reps in. So I'm recognizing the effort that I put in. I want you to embrace discomfort. Now, what I mean by that is take a small step outside your comfort zone, whether that's daily, whether that's weekly, because that is going to compound over time. Maybe it's trying a new exercise in the gym. Maybe it's trying a new running route. Maybe it's trying a new running form. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation. I don't know exactly what it is. You have an idea of what your discomfort is. I like a discomfort for me is doing these sort of speed workouts that I had done today where I ran the 40 miles under I wish I could run the 40 miles under 5 minutes. Running the 5 miles under 40 minutes, yeah, it's definitely uncomfortable when I'm out there and I'm running these miles, but I know that I'm going to be better because of it in the long run. Now, because of these small wins that you're building, I want you to show your kids how to find joy in little victories. I want you to celebrate everything. And this is really what I'd like to share with my daughters is anything that she does. I say, great job. I give her a clap. I give her a high five. And I want her to continue to find joy in these little victories because I know today, like, I have to sit back and like, wow, like, instead of me just getting right back into it and going about my day, like, just taking a minute to be like, wow, like, that was pretty awesome. Like, like, I didn't expect to do it today, like, to run the 40 or run the 5 miles in under 40 minutes, but I did it. So I'm going to take a second and I'm going to enjoy my victory. And then I'm going to move forward and move on. But for my daughter, I want her to know and to find joy in these victories that we have. Now, for me, when it comes to building this grit, it could be anything. When it comes to, say, for me, it was like running a marathon, training for a triathlon. But let's say the marathon training, like I don't want to get up every weekend and go out and run a half marathon distance, if not longer. But I started to stack those wins up over time, where now when I'm running 20 miles, 13 miles seems like absolutely nothing because I run these 20 miles before. Grit for me, what I've been encountering lately and what I've encountered the last 2 weeks is I I mentioned it before, but I like to volunteer once a week for our local ambulance service. The last two Thursday nights, the calls have come in, and I've gotten home about midnight. So my typical shift is 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I get a call, I go out. Last Thursday, went to bed about 9, got a call come in a little after 10:15. Got up, got out of bed, got dressed, went to see what was going on with the patient, transported them to the hospital, and ended up getting back home a little bit after 12. Now, by the time Thursday rolls around, I run the majority of my miles. I have done 4 really hard workouts. Now, Friday comes around, I wake up, and I'm just exhausted. I don't want to run, don't want to work out, but I push through it anyway. I get my run in, I get my workout in, and I make sure I do a good job with both of them. I'm not going out there and just going through the motions. I'm locked in mentally as I would on a Monday workout, on a Tuesday workout, on a Wednesday workout, on a Thursday workout. And it's not easy when you're going out, and I'm usually going to bed early, but I enjoy the aspect of being able to go out there and to help people that need help. But just because I do that doesn't mean I should be making excuses for myself, which is why I go back to that mental grip of allowing to push myself forward when I've had these nights where definitely my schedule is thrown off a little bit. Now, when it comes to building this mental grit, I want you to pick one area of your life where you want more grit. Whether that's in the gym, whether that's running, whether that's being a parent, which I talked about being more present, maybe in a business or your job that you have, and then break it down to the smallest possible daily win. And then commit to tracking those wins for 30 days. So let's say if you want to run 5 miles and you haven't ran before. So you want to run 5 miles for the first time in 30 days. Start breaking it down into those goals. Okay, I want to run a half mile today, a mile tomorrow, half mile, mile, half mile, however you want to do it. All right, for me, when I first started doing it, I'd run a mile, 2 miles. So 3 days a week running, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, mile, 2 miles. Then I would go 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, bam. Within, what would you call it, four-ish weeks, running 5 miles. But I built it up over time. So like the win that I would have today would be going out there and getting this run in. Now I want you to think about like what's a small win today? It could even be going to the gym. It could be making healthier choices, being more present with your son, daughter, or additional children that you may have. At the end of the day, grit isn't built overnight, but through consistent small wins and showing up every day, it's taking the action you need to push yourself forward. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's episode on building mental grit through small wins. And I hope you tune into next week's episode where I discuss how I balance being a husband, father, and athlete.